Hello, welcome back to More Fun Fixing It for yet another C64 repair. Actually, this is the last one that you might be seeing on this channel for possibly a week. This is the last one in the batch of machines that Paul, Universal Retro Boss, who is my supplier of all things broken, gave to me the last time I visited his house and took back all the machines I'd already fixed. So this is, I put this one off for, and you'll see why. It says red screen, interesting. It has a reset button and a toggle switch here and a selector switch here and some LEDs here. So the toggle switch says scanned, S-K-A-N-D. I'm not sure what that means. The reset switch is obvious. These LEDs are K, E1 DOS 5.7, E2 Turbo and E3. And the selector switch, when you turn it on, the selector switch, that is green on this one, and I can cycle through that one, and then that one, and then that one. This is obviously a ROM selector that's inside here. I will show you the output. So if I turn it on, I just get a red screen. And we have a look inside. It's still got its RF shielding, which I will remove, and it's got this amazing kernel switcher board here that someone has lovingly created back in the day, and it's a really nice one as well. It's really nicely laid out and well put together. I've got to do this without disturbing this too much because I don't want to risk damaging anything here. But what we've got in here, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's the original kernel. Yeah, that's the original kernel ROM. That's DOS 5.7 Turbo and then DOS 4.7. There's also on the character ROM. This must be what this is. Okay, that is connected to the character ROM, that switch. And I can't really show you, but there's another EEPROM piggybacked on top of the character ROM with the chip select line bent up and connected to one of these, to the wire, this wire here. And there's two wires inside here. One of them is connected to the chip select of the original character ROM, and one's connected to the EEPROM. So there must just be an alternative character set on this Commodore 64. So I'll show you what's wrong. Apart from that, everything else in here looks really nice and clean. Even this RF modulator is nice and shiny and non-rusty. There's one weird thing here is that they've connected the 12-volt regulator to the 5-volt regulator's heatsink, which is not going to do very much because the 12-volt regulator only really powers the, I think it's the SID and the VIC-II. It doesn't really put this under very much load. So they've tried to solder a copper wire to the heatsink here, but it's broken away. So I'll probably just remove that. It's not going to do anything. Anyway, other things to note in here is that there are matching RAM. That's good. There's one MOS logic here. This, I think it's a 74 LS06. This is meant to be. It's 7707 in MOS terms. There's one more MOS chip over here in U15. That's the one in the last repair I had some problems with. So I need to keep an eye on that, and you'll see why in a second, because I had a little poke around in this. But I'm going to just close this up and show you what it does with diagnostics. First thing I'm going to do is stuff in DesTest switch, because it's always the one of the traditional ROM-based diagnostic tools that has the best chance of displaying anything, and it still just gives a red screen. And I can tell you that everything else that I plug into this just gives a red screen. So the normal diagnostics and dead test and everything just gives a red screen. So we're going to fall back onto the new C64 Analyzer V2 cartridge. If I do system check on this one, reset is okay, 8701 is okay, VIC is okay, CPU okay, PLA is, it's always the PLA, bad. And it says IO1DE00 is the actual fault state of this. So that's the exact fault I saw on the last repair when U15 was bad. And U15 in here is, oh, that's a horrible noise, is a MOS chip. So there's a suspect. Now, the problem I've got here is I can remove the keyboard carefully. Cable and the LED cable, but I've still got all of these other cables connected here, and some of them are soldered at both ends. I don't really want to mess around with this too much. So what I'm going to do, well, I could take that out, but that doesn't, and then I could take that out. Yeah, I think I can mess around with this a little bit, I think. No, I'm going to try to fix this with this in place. Well, I want to show you first of all, actually, the I/O line on the PLA, which is pin 12, and it's supposed to be pulsing, and it is not. It pulses very quickly at the start and then doesn't. And also the chip select line. So what have we got? 20, 14. This is pin 15. And I think that is the basic. No, that might be the character ROM. Then the kernel ROM, that's not doing anything. And then the basic ROM, which usually only does something right at the start. But then, yeah, they all look really bad. So I'm suspecting it could be either the U15 or the PLA, but I'm going to lean heavily towards the PLA because the chip select lines for the ROMs are also all over the place. So let's get this out of here. I'm going to try and do this with everything connected. I'm going to try and desolder that. And yeah, this could be fun. Okay, so first thing I want to do upon freeing this is get rid of that. Now, I've just discovered that my Hacko FR301 has been sitting there switched on for the last couple of hours. God damn it, Hacko! Ooh. Okay. There's a wire running to the back of the character ROM as well. Interesting. Anyway, we're interested in the PLA up here. So I'm just going to leave this perched on here, and hopefully I can just take it out without having to move anything else. And if I can just fix this without having to disassemble all this other stuff, I'd love to be able to just leave it in there. I don't see any need or reason to yank it out just because, you know, to give me easier access. All right, I've just had to bend up every single one of these pins. That every single one of them is bent over. Okay. Oh, it's a really good clean pull. Nice, very nice. Right, I'm going to pop that on there and grab my test machine, which I have just upgraded with many ZIF sockets. Now I'm worrying that this ZIF socket is not actually going to make good contact with this PLA. I don't think it is. Maybe, we'll see. Oh, the PLA is okay. I'm definitely putting a socket back in there because that would be crazy to not socket a PLA, an original MOS PLA especially. So we'll do that. And while I'm under there, I'm going to desolder the U15, and then now, while I know, right, okay, so I started to doubt myself then, because the reset, I hadn't tested the reset, but the C64 analyzer cartridge does all that for me, so I don't need to worry about that quite so much on this repair. But I will, I'll check the clock as well. It's probably a good idea to check the VIC-II is okay, because that, you know, horrible red screen, even though it's passing the C64 analyzer test, there's definitely a display problem. It's always a good thing to check the things that are easiest to check, and popping out the VIC-II, very easy. Right, let's put this PLA back in here. And then take out U15. Delight of a board to work on, this. I believe that's a 74 LS139. I'll just check that. This should tell me if this is at least a... No, this is a good chip. Okay, right, so that is actually terrible news, because the PLA and that being okay means there's probably either some bad RAM that's trashing the bus, or something is going wrong here. I think I'm going to have a little scope around on the data lines first, just to make sure there's nothing being really horribly held low. And then if I can't find anything there, or on the RAM, I'm going to take this out. I'll remove this and put it back to stock, put the kernel back in where it's supposed to be. And then we will have to see where we are. I don't think it's the ROMs. It could, I mean, the CIAs are another thing that can die on these and take down everything. But yeah, I need to make sure that I've got clock and that the reset is okay. I'm pretty sure the reset is okay, but yeah, do your due diligence, Lee. Got a clock. Let's just check that reset line. Oop. And on, perfect reset line. Okay, so that's data line 0, and that is bad. That's data line 1. That's data line 2. That's data line 3. Data line 4. Data line 5. Data line 6. Data line 7, and then we're into the other address lines. So the whole data bus is completely trashed. That could be a ROM. I'm really reluctant to think that it's a memory chip, because they are not MT. They are. There's a big T on it. I don't recognise. Is that Texas Instruments? Oh, hello. The kernel on here is quite hot. Yes, 50 degrees and climbing. That's much too hot for that. I should take out that SID chip as well. I'm not sure why I didn't take that out to start with. Ah, there's a reason. I haven't put the I/O chip back in, or the U15 back in, so that's probably why things are not working. Okay, let's put a socket in there and put that chip back in, and then test again. Where is that chip? There it is. Okay, still got that red horrible screen, but now let's have a look at the data lines. They do look healthier. All right, the data lines are actually okay. I mean, they're not right, but they are now looking like the system has crashed. Okay, one more thing to check before I start pulling any more chips out is this VIC-II. Right, my machine, just test it works before I take anything out. Yep. Oh, red screen. I really should have checked that first. I was fooled by the C64 analyzer telling me that that was actually okay. All right, so I need to, let's mark that one now. I do have a spare one of these now, actually hanging around here. That was taken out of the last repair that became a parts machine. Excellent. Okay. And this should get us further along, if not fix it. Look at that. Would you look at that? Okay. I'm going to take that as a win. Right, so if I turn this switch 1, we get, oh, still something not right there. Turn it once more. This is now on E2, the turbo ROM. Commodore speed load. And one more. Control basic VER4RE. Okay. And if I go back to the normal ROM and flip this switch, is that any different? Oh, keyboard's not connected. Oh. Okay, so I reckon that character ROM is not working correctly or might not be connected properly. All right, so if we go to that one and then change to the E1 DOS 5.7, it should get a better quality display now. Yeah, that looks all much better now. Okay, well now I can put this back to the stock ROM and connect up DesTest Max, DesTest switch, and let that check that memory. I will skip ahead. Okay, that's looped around and has passed. If it passes Matt Desmond's test, it's good memory. Right, I'm just going to put this back in because this VIC runs a bit hot. So I don't know what this character ROM does. I assume it's just a different character set. I think that was something that was done to C64s back in the day. It's a nice case, this one. But I don't know enough about these things, so I'm not going to mess around with it. I think this is working enough that Paul can sell it like it is, with a note on it saying that there might be a minor fault that doesn't stop it working. The only thing I really need to do is check this keyboard. Which is working perfectly. So there might be something that this does that I'm not aware of, and this is functioning perfectly. And what is a problem for me is that I don't want to fix something that might not need fixing. And with this one, with this character ROM, I'll try and take a picture and show it on screen. The EEPROM is soldered directly to the top of the original character ROM, and that would not be an easy thing to reverse. So I'm not going to try and do that. I think I'm going to have to leave this one as it is. But yeah, it's a nice machine. And that's it. I'm going to leave it like that. I'll put the SID back. Oh, I need to test the SID. Let's test the SID. Right, perfect. I will put the test harness on this and just make sure that there's no other little niggly bits that are wrong, but I'm not confident that the test harness will cope with all of the modifications that have been done. This is a nice machine. It's really clean and a lovely example of someone's pride and joy. Someone put a lot of work into this and really made a nice special machine, and they looked after it really well. It's in excellent condition. Really, really impressed with this one. So that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think about these modifications and maybe give me some clues on this character ROM for future reference. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, please tell me that was on. Please tell me that was on.